So this video is going to be about abstract photography. Abstract photography is going to be our week 3 photo shoot assignment. So what is abstract photography? Abstract photography, simply put, is when a photographer takes a picture of something that is an ordinary thing in such a way that the viewer cannot easily identify what it is. So even if it's the most common object, if the photographer crops it or arranges it in such a way that it gives an interesting pattern or an interesting view, there are a couple of different ways to make successful abstract photography. So the first thing is simplicity. So you want to keep it simple. You don't want a lot of detail or a lot of things in the picture. The second way is cropping. So instead of showing the whole image, you would show only part of it or part of the object or arrangement. And then the third thing is to look for shapes and not for subjects. So you're going to notice interesting shapes of things that are repeated, interesting patterns. And the last thing is strong visual organization. So look for those leading lines or look for that rule of thirds when you create your abstract photography. So looking for shapes. So if you look at the two pictures here, you'll see that each of them have interesting shapes, whether it is the one on the right with the color block or the one on the left with the repeated circles and the repeated diamonds. So looking for interesting shapes will make abstract photography super simple. Another thing you can do is you can add light to the side or back of an object. The picture on the right shows an umbrella where someone simply held a flashlight and you created this interesting backlit view. The picture on the left where you see the different bottles of perfume, that's simply a flashlight or a lamp held so that the shadows create interesting leading lines and interesting shapes. Then the rule of thirds. So you can remember the rule of thirds from our first week. The picture on the left is a pair of shoes, obviously, but they are zoomed in and cropped in such a way so that the word van is in that spot where the rule of thirds would be successful. And the picture on the right with the bike wheel spoke, it uses leading lines as well as the rule of thirds to create that interesting abstract kind of pattern. Speaking of patterns, if you look for patterns, this is a row of wooden slats that was taken so that it creates this interesting abstract pattern. The picture on the right is a stack of books. Also look for textures. Textures can also give very interesting abstract shapes. The one on the left is some cobblestones or bricks, and you can see little green grasses poking through. The one on the right is some kind of sidewalk. You can't really tell what it is, but it creates this interesting texture. And then you can also zoom in on parts of larger objects. The image on the left is just an ordinary fork, and the image on the right is a very zoomed in view of a leaf. You can also layer shadows in an interesting way, either on purpose or find them outside on a sunny day. So the picture on the left is a railing or a fence, and the shadows that fall across it onto the ground create this interesting abstract look. Again, the one on the right is forks, and you can layer them in such a way so that the shadows overlap and create this interesting look. Also, some photographers like to shoot in black and white because that simplifies the image and really reinforces the abstract nature. You can also use reflections, water, pools of water, the reflection of metal, the reflection of glass or mirrors. You can create interesting abstract photography using just reflections that you find out in the world or in your house. And you would just use your phone just to create